The 2x2 starter base design has been a staple for years in Rust. And with the changes recently added this year, there's no better time than now to take it to the next level. The most important step in this process will be incorporating simple circuits to automate things within your base to help you speed up your progression. All of the things that you should be using can be seen right here. If you're actually playing the game instead of complaining about it on Twitter, then these deployables are things that you will absolutely find out in the wild and can easily learn in a research table and should be using to speed up your progression so you can spend less time in your base. If you've never built a 2x2 before, the reason that people love it so much is because that it's cheap to build, easy to upkeep, and can be expanded into a variety of base designs. Before you build the base, you should have your door and code lock or key lock crafted and ready to go, so that you can place it down first, just in case anything happens while you're building. You can run up into that area and seal yourself off or PvP around something that's already been upgraded. Because there's nothing worse than building your entire base and just before you get your door put down, someone kills you and they take it over. This is the configuration for the layout that we'll be using to maximize space for deployables, and then to also maximize mobility, we'll be using 3 double door frames. Although you can fit up to 5 bags in here, this base design is most optimal for groups of 4 or less, because that way you won't have to place your research table outside and you can just place it by this door over here and pick it up when you're done. The majority of newer players put 3 furnaces next to their TC loot room because they don't know that if you place them like this, you can still exit through your door without them blocking you, and then you can fit a 4th one with your workbench right next to it. And then you can fit a tier 2 workbench in here as well, and if you're trying to put your tier 3 down, you're gonna have to remove that 4th furnace. And then this is the absolute best way to place your boxes down so that we can fit 5 in here along with 2 small boxes and a barbecue. And the easiest way to place these correctly is by doing the horizontal one first and lining it up with the wall. And as long as everything has been placed down correctly, you'll be able to have some space over here to place a locker. And then there's a spot on the top shelf where you can place another small box if you need to, but I personally leave this open so that I can AFK here out of the way of my teammates, and it's also a good spot to hide at if you're getting online raided to catch raiders off guard. The orientation of your doors matters quite a bit, and you should leave the door off of your TC loot room for mobility unless you get a garage door or if you're going offline. This door right here should go outwards so that it doesn't block the barbecue, and also this wall right here is a good spot to place down electrical components. And this is also a good spot to put a shotgun trap down, and when you do so, you should take the door off and push it as close to the door frame as possible so that it sticks through the door and still works when the door is closed. This loot room is a great place to put your repair bench down. When placing the 2 boxes under here, keep in mind that it's best to have a shotgun trap in here first, like your first shotgun trap should go here. But this back box is going to be in the way and it's going to be really hard to reach it when there is a shotgun trap there. This bottom right box is going to be where we drop off our loot and have it sorted later on, and then the 2 small boxes in front are extra to be used for whatever you want, like food. The top left box right here is the one that we're going to be using for our ore to automate our furnaces with, and then this is where all of our charcoal is going to go on the right, and the small box as well will be filled up with charcoal. And then until you get your electrical components, you can place the door down and have it face inwards. The first things you should be focusing on keeping once you find them are components for your furnaces. This igniter connected to a button is kind of just a quality of life thing. If you find a button and an igniter, that's all you need to turn your furnaces on. The output of the button just goes into the igniter, and it has recently been reduced from 5 seconds to 1 second, so the durability of your igniter will last longer than it used to in the past. Once you find a storage adapter, it's something you're going to need to learn in the research table so you can craft 5 of them. And you'll only need 1 small battery and 1 solar panel. The circuit doesn't really use much power, so that 1 solar panel can just face north and plug right into the battery. I would, however, recommend having 2 small batteries just in case like somebody breaks your solar panel or you end up adding things like lights to the circuit. It's good to have a backup battery. And then you can just chain them together by the output of the first battery, and the output of the second battery is going to go into 1 conveyor. I would recommend learning the conveyor before you do this, but if you're really struggling, you can place it down right away. And it also does not need a filter, so you can just turn it on. The 5th storage adapter is going to go on our ore box that we placed down earlier in the top left of this first loot room. And then you're going to grab the input of this storage adapter and plug it into the output of one of the furnaces, and then chain them all together. And the input of the first furnace goes into the output on the conveyor. And then the input of the conveyor is just going to go back into the output of the storage adapter on our ore box. Your furnaces are now fully automated, and that includes the wood as well. So when you depot ore in here, you should also put wood, and I recommend putting 1 stack of wood in per 1 stack of ore. But do keep in mind, currently the refined resources and charcoal are going to fill up inside of this box. The way that we're going to fix that is with 2 conveyors, one of which we're going to place over here all the way up to the ceiling. And then you're going to need 2 or 3 more storage adapters. I'm just going to put my refined resources down on this box because this box is kind of hard to reach, and this is an automated process on a thing that takes a lot of time. So we're just going to plug the output of this conveyor into the input of that box. And then we're going to take the input of this conveyor and wrap it around over to our ore box. And we're going to need to take this door off so that we can get another storage adapter on the top of this box. And then we're going to need to power our conveyor, and we can just take the pass-through from the first conveyor to do so. And we're going to set the filters over here to charcoal, high-quality metal, sulfur, and then metal fragments. And then what this is going to allow us to do is suck all the refined resources out of our ore box so that we can fit more ore and wood inside of it before it fills up. Just make sure you've got 4 slots in here open so that the refined resources can pass through that box. And then we have to fix the problem of charcoal that's going to fill up our refined resource box. So we're going to take the output of a new conveyor into the input of this storage adapter on our charcoal box, and then bring that input over to our refined resource box and connect it up to that. The reason we have to do it this way instead of just adding a third storage adapter is because we're going to probably have so much charcoal that it's going to fill this box up. So we have a small box where we would otherwise have the third storage adapter on our ore box. And then, of course, set the filter to charcoal on the third conveyor. And then throw a storage adapter on the small box and connect it to the large one. Now that our furnaces are fully automated and all we gotta do is fill a box up and push a button, it's time to set up a miniature drop system that will split out our good loot from our bad loot, allowing us to just deposit loot inside one box. I'm only gonna be hooking up these 3 boxes right here because the one we're standing on is kind of annoying if it has a storage adapter on it. And then we're gonna be chaining together the outputs of all of these boxes, and placing one conveyor below this other one over here and connecting the output of it to the input of the first box. And the input of this is going to go into a storage adapter on our drop box over here. And the reason we're setting up this drop box is because it's one of the first boxes we see when we enter the base. So if we need to go back out immediately, we can just throw some loot in here. And it's also going to split up loot that we determine on the filter of this conveyor. I would recommend components, weapons, and ammo, and if you don't want to do resources, remember that CCTV cameras and computers are categorized under resources, and also that cards are under miscellaneous tab, I think, so these are things you're going to have to manually add in here, and you've only got 12 slots to work with, so you should be including things in this filter that are most important to you, and also keep in mind that clothing and armor is categorized under clothing. The last thing that I would recommend adding, which is also easy to set up now after the new update, is door controllers that only close. In my opinion, you really only need these on your airlock doors, so 2 door controllers will work just fine. The first thing you're going to do is grab the pass-through on your last conveyor and power both door controllers. And then grab the pass-through on the second door controller and send it to the input of an electrical branch. And then we're going to place a button inside of our TC loot room and connect the input of it to the branch out. You can leave the branch out set to 2. And then place another branch above it and connect the output of our button to the input of the new electrical branch. And then on this branch, you're going to press E and set it to 1, and then both of these outputs are going to go into the closed nodes on the door controllers. And now, if you accidentally leave your doors open or somebody goes deep on you, you can spawn in your bag over here, press this button, and your doors will close. If you add more things to this circuit, your batteries might end up dying during the nighttime, and all you got to do to fix that is place another solar panel on the roof with a root combiner going into the battery. And then the last step that I would recommend is to upgrade this 2x1 on the TC side of your base. It only costs around 2 stacks of metal. This is something that's crucial and should be done as soon as possible, even before you've got all your boxes crafted, because experienced raiders are going to know exactly where the TC is at in this base. Now when you're out making plays, you can get back into the action faster, because all you gotta remember to do is put your wood and ore in the top left box and then deposit the rest of your loot into the bottom right box. And if this fills up too quickly, you can connect the 2 smaller boxes like we did with the charcoal above so that you can have extra space to deposit loot, as well as being able to make sure that your furnaces are always on with the press of a button. If you haven't seen the rest of my Rust tutorials and guides playlist, it's on screen right now, as well as linked in the description, but that's all I got for you guys today. I'll catch you in the next one.